So, I mean, if a rider or an action sports athlete can ultimately get the sponsorship that they need just purely by creating a following, creating a fan base, ultimately engaging with their fan base so they get to be able to emulate their idols, their role models. What future impact do you think that'll have on competitions? I mean, will it be a case of athletes will say, well, there's no need for us to go into competitions anymore. You know, we can get the money or the lifestyle we want just purely through being a free rider.
I think especially in snowboarding, skateboarding, you had that for ages, I think. It's more of a, I'm almost had to convince all of my athletes to actually do events because they can make a good living out of just filming and creating a good following on online. But I think it's always a matter of, the biggest ones in the industry, in any industry, are the ones who combine the two of them. If you manage to combine good presence at the biggest events with a story to tell as well, and personality and online following in an opening or end part of the major film production, where you push the boundaries of the sport, I think you're definitely going to be. So it still has relevance. But you see that more and more today, like even within the X Games. This year at Summer X Games, they had a film competition in skateboarding where they choose 8 riders, I think, to go out and film their own video part and compete with that video part. And they actually copying that concept now to this year's Winter X Games, nice. Where you have a lot of traditional filmers, so to say, never compete, like JP Walker, Simon Chamberlain, LMP, a couple of cool snowboarders who actually goes there with one filmer each and film for the entire week. At the end of the week, they're going to have a competition with their films, basically. So I think it's more of an integration, and that makes it actually, to old fans like me, it's more interesting as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think that's the impact of what social media is having on action sports now? Basically, the fact that people can go away, take a video, put it onto YouTube, enter it into competitions. I mean, do you see, where do you see social media ultimately taking the industry in relation to the athletes and the competitions?
But I think that that's one side of the future that I think that you integrate the two of them more and more. And if you look at the Do Tour nowadays, Ally Sports or Ally.com is more of a social media network almost nowadays. So I think that it naturally becomes more integrated anyway. And of course, that film competition at X Games is one version of it, and you see film competitions pop up more and more as well. Like Jon Olsson, free skier, is a perfect example of that. One of the absolute biggest events in free ski and best events as well, where he facilitates perfect jumps, perfect features for the athletes. They come there for 2 weeks now. It used to be 1 week, but they come for 2 weeks with a filmer and basically make their edits. And sponsors get their sign the logos on each and every feature. And end of the day, they make an amazing, outstanding video during over 2 weeks. The sponsors get their logos in those films, and it stays on the, gets out on the internet, and it stays there forever. Yeah. So anybody who's been interested in, have the slightest interest in free skiing have seen those Joss, Jon Olsson Super Session videos, and those logos live there forever. But with, let's say an O'Neill Evolution or something like that, if you blink, you miss it. And even with the TV distribution available for an event like that, it's hard. It's hard to reach out. I think a lot of or European Open or whatever, it's easy to miss. Sure. Whereas when you make it online, it stays there forever. Gives better value for everybody involved.
Well, also looking at going right into the importance of online presence then versus the importance of offline presence. I mean, I can remember back in the day, it was all about a snowboard and getting the front page or front cover of the most popular snowboarding mag or most popular surfing magazine. I mean, is there now a big shift away from getting onto the most hit websites over maybe the most important magazines, or are you still seeing offline media as an important channel for athletes creating a brand and a reputation for themselves as well?
I think again it's a combination. It's definitely a combination. You see the offline media is getting online. Transworld Snowboarding and all, Snowboarder Magazine, all of them on board, and whole factory media thing that, it's all online nowadays. And they have iPad versions, they have iPhone applications. It's more of a combo. I read all the American magazines on, I download them. So even the offline version, of course, it's a matter of minutes, I would say, because before you can just click and they integrate videos in that online magazine, and I think that's the future of it. So, and the importance of it from an athlete's point of view, or even the companies or the sponsors' point of view, I think it's getting more and more. It's integrated. The events will always be important because it's one part of the industry of the sport, and the X Games, Duo Tour, Olympics. It's all here to stay. But Olympics is once every 4th year, and you need a story to tell in between to keep the interest up for the sport. So, of course, if you have your daily blog that you get into the coolest site or whatever, that's as important. But then on the other hand, you have athletes or talent who just basically make money out of not competing, doing cool online stuff. And I guess, I don't know, pretty much everybody have seen the Danny McCaskill, street trials, the guy who cycled up in Edinburgh, and, he's got 22 million views now, I think.
Yeah.
Ken Block. I think that Monster, DC, and Ford isn't putting all that money into his project because of his outstanding performance in WRC. I think he finished one race so far, and he ended up 14th. But he's by far the biggest star in WRC, and put this Gymkhana up 3-4 weeks ago, and still, he's already got 15 million views on YouTube. Okay. That's return on your invested money. So, of course,
maybe that's where also you touch upon a point there where what an online presence or online media is allowing sponsors to do is to measure their return on investment a lot better than maybe through an athlete who's won a competition or got the front place of a magazine. So maybe that's why sponsors are preferring to go with athletes who have got a major online presence, just purely because of the measurement metrics involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, it's a combo of everything. You can't without the big events. I think our sport will be pretty small. Our sports, and without print, even if print probably will go into something more of an iPad version or whatever it is. It will be more integrated. I think it's a mix that has to be there. Everything is important.
Sure.
To keep the interesting part and keep the lifestyle around it.
Sure. Kristoffer, just to summarize then, I mean, how would you summarize why an athlete needs an online presence, and why do you think an online presence is important from a sponsorship point for the athlete?
I think, in general, I think it's one piece of the mix that is makes it more interesting, and everything goes hand in hand. But to go back again where we started, I think why would the companies pay for an athlete and not only give them products? And it's because they want to push products and or get something to talk about, and it brings out the individuality and the personality at the different athletes and individual style, and makes them stand out. So I think it is one very important mix, one part of the mix that you need today.
Mm-hmm. Kristoffer, thank you for your time from Action Sports Europe. Best of luck. Thank you.
Cheers.